Stretch my heart.
Hey, me first.
Death. She seems so confident. Something closed the door.
Looking at this, I'd say we're close to Lucian's body.
There. Switch.
There, a switch.
Surprise! You left a little boy to rot in a prison cage, and yet I made it here. What do you say to that, eh? What do you say to that? Attacking a child? That's dark. And very bad for your sense of self, that must be. So let me help you. I'm not actually a little boy.
Really, I'm not. Say hello to your mistake. Yes, my Lord Lucian, I'm coming. I'll free you. I'll protect you. I'm coming, my lord. I'm coming, Lucian. I'm coming. I'm coming right after I... Lucian, I'm coming. I'm coming, Lucian. I'm coming, Lucian. Lucian, I'm coming. Coming.
No sign of Lucian's body. Has Dallas beaten us here?
adventure no farther. Only death lies beyond. Blood need not be spilled. Bones need not be broken. Preserve thyself and flee. To cross this threshold is to plunge into thy grave. Do not decide in haste. Very well. Embrace thy fate.
Something's happening. That must have been the last lever.
My darling, you really brought some mess into my life, and I've loved it. And you. Damn, the end of Divinity can't come soon enough for me. I'm ready to live a human life.
My goodness. Here we are, Quercus. This is it. What do you mean, Quercus? Of course I'm prepared. I have my noble steed below me, and my trusted shield beside me. What more could I need? And I may have cracked the spell that will stop the great acorn in its furious tracks, if that's what you mean. That's right, Quercus. We've done it! I owe you an apology, Shield. At the start of our journey, I wouldn't have believed a human would lead me to the discovery that would save us all. But I see now that my prejudice was foolish. Without you, Quercus and I might still be stuck on that abominable prison island. Now here I am. Here we are, on the brink of saving the world. Indeed, Quercus and I will find an advantageous location and do just that. Meanwhile, you must prevent the servants of the Acorn from interrupting us. You feel it, don't you? It's so still. But there's something behind it, too, like a thunderclap waiting to fall. The great acorn is nearly here. Its servants are poised for impact. We've known this moment would come. Now it is time to put my research to the test. I am ready. Quercus is ready. And you, Shield? No matter what happens next, Shield, there's something Quercus and I want you to know. It has been an honor. Now, onward!
You come here often. I don't know what you did, but you just released a source flood. I thought I'd come and see what all the fuss was about. Should have known you were getting yourself into trouble. Looks like the big moment has finally arrived. I will do everything I can to support you, Godwoken. I will pray for you. I think you'll need it. Don't underestimate the power of true prayer. This is a place of incredible power where a single prayer holds the weight of thousands. Your heart and soul will fill as quickly as they're drained. Consider it a taste of your divine future. The people will pray for you. In turn, they'll trust you to do right by them, as I'm trusting you to do now. Of course, it's up to you whether or not to listen. I know how I'd respond, but you do you. Looks like my investment's paid off after all.
I need worship only one divine, and I believe he stands before me now.
You've shown me kindness in the face of my sins. My worship is the least I can offer.
I've always preferred to be the one reaping the attention, but you've turned the tables. I suppose it's only right, seeing as how a new divinity may stand before me.
Now go. Rivellon needs a new divine.
Godwoken. Dallas told me about you. You must be as hard as diamonds, and twice as bright, to have come so far. Your divine welcomes you.
What a twist.
Lucian, you lying snake! You betrayed me! You used me to bring death to my own people! And for what? To make the world a better place? Look around!
Ifan, my friend. There were many sacrifices that had to be made. You were but one. Each of them pained me, but I would make them all again.
Lucian, we should tell him the truth.
Yes, I agree. It is time we dropped our masks.
I am eternal.
Aren't they just full of surprises?
Fear not, Godwoken. Dallas is on the side of all that is good. She is helping me rid Rivellon of the influence of the Source. Listen to her.
I shall tell you the tale as I told it to Lucian. Long ago, the scholar Fane discovered that the veil between the world and the void was made of Source. Our 7 lords desired this power.
Of course.
Silence, slave. Our king forbade the 7 to reach for this power, but they didn't listen. Instead, they rebelled and sent the king and his people into the void.
With the Source they stole from the Veil. The 7 created the races so they would have worshippers.
During their lives, worshippers collect Source. When they die, the gods feed from them. It's an ingenious system.
Our souls are nothing but vats for the Source-hungry gods.
The 7 made a mistake. By taking its source, they tore a hole in the veil, and it is through this hole that the void finds its way into our world.
The 7's lust for power let in the void. Our goal is to close the hole they created, to restore the Source to the veil. When we are done, there shall be no more Source in the world. Rivellon will be finally free from the gods that enslaved them.
My people cannot be allowed to return from the void. They are tarnished. They are void-woken. They can only bring chaos and death and... I was a child when the God King tore my family apart. I was purged of souls and left to rot in a putrid tomb. A child. It was hell. A hell I suffered for the sins of my father. He was the one that betrayed the God King. He was the one that told the Seven the secrets of the Veil. The cruel joke of it all is that the same tomb that housed my tortured body is what sheltered me from the void. Few Eternals escaped that fate. Myself, my mother, and my father, the scholar Fane. But now I finally have revenge. Revenge on the Seven and the God King. Revenge for what they took from me. My life. My people. My mother! He never even looked for me. He never even looked for her!
Dallas, control yourself. Our purpose transcends your personal wounds.
Yes. You are right.
Dallas's reasons weren't mine to question. All that ever mattered to me was peace. Peace for Rivellon, peace for me, whatever the means. And now, we are on the precipice.
With a face ripper. And a suitable sacrifice, of course. The real Dallas didn't volunteer herself to me, mind you. Curiosity led her to the tomb. My hunger for source took care of the rest. I presume her bones remained there. And then I took her place. It didn't take long to realize that Lucian was the key to my vengeance, and I was the key to the salvation of Rivellon.
While Dallas sought the Aetheran, I started draining the gods of their source.
Slurp, slurp, slurp.
One more word from you, and I shall use the leash.
I had to hide from the gods. So I had the walls of this crypt equipped with tenebrium and protections put in place. It worked. Everyone, even the gods, thought me dead. As divine, I was created, empowered to stop the void. I was the avatar of the Seven, their strength and their weakness. My bond to them allowed me to drain them of their source.
Maggot! I am no slave.
Don't worry, he's well under control. He has made a fine servant. Isn't that right? Ingrate. I used him to find the Aetheran. When we're done, I'll release him from his duty and free him from his pain. Until then...
Good. You shall not seal the veil. And now it is time. I call on the God King. Come claim what is yours.
How? What? You are unleashed!
You left the leashing wand next to me, you stupid maggot. So accustomed had you become to me pretending to be your slave.
Kill him!
Do shut up, you tedious buffoon. And don't look so surprised. As if I would allow that bone-bag Dallas to enslave me. Me?
This is not the time for talk. Kill him, now!
Too late, you mouldering, blight-stained pigs. Grant me power, my ally. God King, I call on you.
The God King hears my call. He sends a companion worthy of my power. Come to your father, my pretty thing. Come to the Source King!
My time is done. But your source burns so bright I'm all but blinded by it. Be wise and true, Godwoken. I am no hero, but wisdom and truth. These are values I always believed in.
I have failed. The future of all that is rests on your shoulders.
Listen, this is it. Again. And I want you to know I'm not putting up a fight, not against you. My revels are now ended. Yours are about to begin. I've had my vengeance, my life and my liberty. You helped me win them back.
This is it. I can hardly believe it. After everything we've been through, after everything we've seen, here we are. Here I am. And now that I see godhood before me, I know what I have to do. Chief, you need to ascend. There's no one I would trust with this responsibility but you. I know you'll do what needs to be done, what ought to be done. And I know you'll do it with style. Hell, I could have told you that. You'll do great. By me and by my whole realm. I don't doubt that for a second. Now go on, shoo. You've got business to attend to.
So here we are. The end of it all. Nobody I'd rather see this whole thing through with. I trust you. I trust your judgment. Well then, let's do this. Together.
And so it ended. A tale that began with my own ill-fated attempt to rid the world of the Godwoken. Dallas the Hammer, the secret eternal, purged the Godwoken and used the Source to close the veil to the void. The world was saved. Statues in memory of the Godwoken who sacrificed their Source were erected all across Riverlong. They would never be forgotten. The half-demon Malady took pity on the soulless Godwoken silent monks and brought them to the Hall of Echoes. There, from the scraps of their souls that remained, she restored them to life. Sorcerers no more, they lived out the rest of their lives, freed of the burden of being the God-woken, freed from the weight of the world. As for me, the God-woken sacrifice severed the link that bound the sworn to the God-King, and I was finally free. To atone for my sins, I spent the rest of my days taking care of the sick and elderly, telling the story of the God-woken, that the world may never forget the greatest heroes Rivellon had ever seen.
Well, well, look what the cat dragged in. A silent monk. At least that's what you would be if it weren't for malady. To be fair, you are barely more powerful than one, now that the source has been ripped from you, and even more ripped from me.
Ah, there you are. More than a silent monstrosity, less than a god. In the end, I'm not totally convinced it was worth my while to restore your consciousness, seeing what you've done with it so far. Where did I go wrong? Ugh. I'd been counting on sacrificing my health and happiness for a future god, you know, not a silent monk in waiting. Never mind. I'll find another way. I always do. We've come a long way together. I did my best by you all the way. Sacrificed much. And I'd have given even more to see you fulfill your destiny. I guess this will have to do. Take a moment, why don't you? Relax. Enjoy. I certainly plan to do the same. The same way I do everything, of course. Demonic guile. Oh, I don't know. Around and about. Treat myself to some mead, a Loverall 300. I'd say we've earned it. Perhaps our paths will cross again. Perhaps not. Until we find out.
Without source to shield it, the barriers between Nemesis and Rivellon weaken. The void may be kept at bay, but the plane of demons is not.
Here the wild beast just sails on the ocean. He's docked in the bay and coming your way. Off on the yawn, you hear the commotion. He's docked in the bay and coming your way. Your cupboard can't hide you, nor can your berth. His daggers don't care about the gold that you're worth. He'll bury your bones neath a mountain of earth. He's docked in the bay and coming your way.
No more source, no more powers. Don't worry, darling. I know you have plenty of other qualities. Who knows? A nice cottage someplace quiet for Mahalia and I. A roaring fire and a feather bed. Maybe. Maybe. But a girl needs some fun, doesn't she? Reform my ways? How adorable. No, I'm afraid I cannot escape who I am and what I've done. Oh, no matter. We'll always have our first kiss. I haven't been quite able to put it out of my mind. Just as I'm sure you won't be able to put me out of your mind.
Are you okay? You don't look okay.
You are a very, very, very lucky person. If Malady hadn't restored us, I'd be a drooling monstrosity, but a vengeful one. Me too. I would have made an awful silent monk. A Losa must sing, and that's that. I don't know if anyone's free of anything, once and for all. But I'm bloody thrilled to be here now. Just me, myself, and you, of course. Get loot, play loot, get glad. So, Chief, I guess this is it, right? You say that now, but who knows what adventures and redheads life will throw at you. Whatever it is, you'll ace it. See you around.
I suppose it's time for me to explore a new form of eternity.
Ah, the betrayer. I suppose this is proof I've got really bad taste in friends. To say nothing of lovers. After all that we've been through since Fort Joy, after all that, to end up with Lucian once more, to settle for abject corruption over change. All that is over. I can't believe I fell for it. I can't believe I fell for you. You listened to Lucian. You obeyed Lucian. After everything he did, you allowed him to take our source. And now you have restored a tyrant to power. I intend to spend the remainder of my days seeking to undo what you have done. It may not be possible. But when did that ever stop me before?
Well, Quirkers, look who finally graced us with their presence. I suppose some thanks are in order. You're welcome, by the way. Honestly, Quirkers, some creatures have no sense of perspective. Of course, had you not stopped this God King and his lackeys, there would have been very little left for me to save, so... Ah, Quirkers! Please, have a little decorum. This battle is won, my friend, but we still have a war to fight. We've undone the Great Acorn, but the Knights of Dre are still out there. They summoned the Great Acorn once. They will be able to summon it again. We have to destroy their order, once and for all. That is the future Quirkers and I have ahead of us. We no longer need a shield, but we are very happy to have a friend. The honor is all mine. I pray we will not need to call on you, but I am grateful for the offer. I never thought I would be proud to have befriended a giant. But there is no one Ow! Clackers! There is no one that we would rather have walked this world with. I do not know what comes next for you, but you will always have a friend in the forest. Come, Quackus. We must... Oh, I think you have something in your eye, my friend.
You're here. And I'm here. If just barely. Thank the gods or whomever for Malady. Oh? I think the look would quite suit you. I'm glad too. Whatever I like. We have shared times both good and bad. Times beautiful and ugly. I won't forget them. Don't be a stranger now.
I always thought that those who resorted to self-sacrifice were lacking in imagination. I must admit, that was rather noble of you. A world without source is one that will need individuals of wit and intellect. A sharp mind is the only magic now. I believe I shall enjoy this new world very much. That is the question, isn't it? How does one top the greatest feat of necromancy ever conceived? I might have the answer to that. Tell me, have you ever heard of Gustafsson? No, of course you wouldn't. It's a written language, unreadable to most, but myself naturally. It comes from a mysterious race from another world, beings that feed on minds. I intend to seek them out. This Gustafsson seems to guard portals to their realm. And once I've uncovered one, well, why settle for being the greatest mind in just one world, and there's another for the taking?
Amazing I'm still here. That you're here. And that you might still speak. That Lucian... I only did what I was meant to do. I don't deserve thanks. I gave only the bare minimum, and still I strayed quite far. Self-pity is as dangerous as any man I have battled, Alexander included. In this new world, this world without the seven gods, it's a foe I plan to defeat for good. Time. Time has a way of changing someone. Lucian did not start as the man he became, nor is the man I am now the same as him that once served at the side of a divine. Lucian doesn't need me, and believe me when I say, I no longer need him. I find a way to fit. I wasn't just content to lurk in Lucian's shadow. I was his shadow. Now I stand in the sun as my own man. I just don't know who that man is. And so I find out. My goal is to have a goal, if that makes sense at all. And if it doesn't, well, that's all I've got.
It gives me almost as much pleasure to speak to you as it does to be whole again. I will always be an ally to those that carry swords, to those whose blood is of the heroes of old, and so, as always, I am at the ready.
She is full of surprises. My wood was splintered, but my spirit intact. It was a great feat, but given her skill, not a surprising one. I feel better than new.
At last, the world was at peace. the ancient lizard empire opened its gates. The houses disbanded, and the empire adopted a pluralist quasi-democracy. Anyone could vote for whoever they pleased, as long as the House of Shadows approved. With their queen dead and the Void Woken gone, the dwarves held the greatest party in the history of dwarfdom. A new king took the throne, the local brewer. 6 days later, he was stabbed to death with a mutton fork. Lucian made amends to the elves. He gave them lands and vast riches from the coffers of the old divine order. But the elves never forgave him. They would not trust humans again. And in a dark forest on the far side of a desert, well beyond the high seas, the Black Ring came together once more. The island of Fort Joy, the old redoute of the Source King Brachus Rex, was turned over to the people of Driftwood to use as they wished. They turned it into a holiday resort. Reaper's Coast prospered. The fisheries returned, and the fertile farmlands produced the greatest harvests the surviving farmers had ever seen. Blood Moon Island became particularly fecund, its soil producing the greatest crops. A particularly crimson-fleshed orange grown on the island became a delicacy across half the world. The Black Pits took fire. The oil there burns still. Driftwood became a centre of industry, trade, and transport. Lohar the dwarf became mayor. His time in office was cut short by an unfortunate wound that spontaneously appeared on his neck. Lagan left his over-demanding wife and began a relationship with a local bard. In the spirit of loving generosity, he returned the ring to his now ex-wife. In a fit of rage, she threw it into the sea. The nameless isle had vanished. Although only open water remained, by instinct ships would steer clear. None of the captains could articulate why. Sir Gareth thanked the surviving Seekers for their service and gave them their freedom. Disillusioned with peace, he set out alone to find a new purpose. He would never stop seeking. Young Han went into the theatre and became one of the realm's most popular actors. Almira and Mihaili settled down on the farm. The locals liked and respected Almira. She never wanted for help, and deals always fell to her favor. She presumed she had them in thrall. The truth was, they just liked her. With no new divine, Malady found herself in a predicament. She had an important problem to solve, but no ally strong enough to call upon. And so her search continued. Having performed the greatest act of necromancy in history, Tarquin found the new world unchallenging. He became obsessed with rumors of another plane of existence. One day he vanished and was never seen again. Ahu the wizard became one of Lucian's most trusted advisors once more. He always knew that something had changed in the divine. He never discovered what that was, or if he did, he never said a word. With Amadia silent, the priestess Gratiana left the swamps and re-entered the world. she founded an abbey in the Dragonspine Mountains, offering the last of the undead shelter from fortune hunters, novelty seekers, and ghouls. Jehan the demon hunter found himself at a loose end, so he opened a museum of demonic artifacts. He made a fortune. With Lucian in power, Sahala took the elves away from the world. They grew strong once more amidst the trees of the regrown home forest. Some say her plans for revenge will bring about the end of days. Some say only Tova, her mother, holds her back. Lucian returned as divine, united the races, and became Lord Emperor of all Rivellon. Only Dallis knew that he was entirely powerless. Dallis and you. The Eternal, now known as Dallis, was a secret advisor to Lucian and to his successors. For eons she would walk in the world, and would outlive the peoples and all, and wander alone amongst the dying stars. With a small band of elves, Ifan Ben Mesd replanted the lost elven forests. After the first fresh shoots broke the earth, he disappeared, and was never seen again. Some say Afrit, his soul wolf, walks the forests still. Sabine wandered the world. She became a household name, famed the realm over as a traveling hero, celebrated wherever she went. Enjoying life to the fullest, she was truly and finally free. Lohse returned to her music and enjoyed a storied career as Rivellon's premier musician. Dark moods would at times overtake her, and she would spend long hours walking in the wilds. She always returned with a new song. And then there was you. You returned to the world as one more human among many. Your future was yours to decide. Did you accept your new status with humility, or did you rebel? Only you know the truth. Only you know if you atone for your sins.
And so it ended. A tale that began with my own ill-fated attempt to rid the world of the God-woken. When the dust settled, no new divine had risen. Instead, all source was released into the world for all the people and every creature to share. Everyone was now a sorcerer. And united, the peoples of Rivellon pushed back the God King into the very depths of the void. This ushered in a new golden age of peace and prosperity. But alas, it was not to last. With many greedy for wealth, power and position, the struggle soon began anew. Source, the very language of creation, was used in violence once more. The never-ending contest for power continued. As for me, my last hope of ever being freed of the God King's terrible tyranny faded when the God-woken failed to seal the veil. An eternity of pain and suffering is mine, in service of the king, until the day I am freed, the day the God King returns.
The world was at peace, at least for now. Few were as prepared for the new world as the lizardkin of the ancient empire. With power spread equally throughout the world, the advantage lay with those who knew how to steal it, and at this the lizards excelled. With their queen dead and the Voidwoken gone, the dwarves held the greatest party in the history of dwarfdom. A new king took the throne, the local brewer. 6 days later, he was stabbed to death with a mutton fork. With their power returned, the elves reclaimed their lands from the death fog and began to rebuild. Soon they would split as two factions sought power, one to bring back the trees, the other to bring back the scions. A dwarven joke did the rounds. It ends with the punchline, "So Lucian dropped the death fog on them again." Only the elven Godwoken could bring the elves together once more. And in a dark forest on the far side of a desert, well beyond the high seas, the Black Ring came together once more. The island of Fort Joy, the old redoubt of the Source King Brachus Rex, was turned over to the people of Driftwood to use as they wished. They turned it into a holiday resort. Reaper's Coast prospered. The fisheries returned, and the fertile farmlands produced the greatest harvests the surviving farmers had ever seen. Blood Moon Island became particularly fecund, its soil producing the greatest crops. A particularly crimson-fleshed orange grown on the island became a delicacy across half the world. The black pits took fire. The oil there burns still. Driftwood became a centre of industry, trade, and transport. Lohar the dwarf became mayor. His time in office was cut short by an unfortunate wound that spontaneously appeared on his neck. Lagan left his over-demanding wife and began a relationship with a local bard. In the spirit of loving generosity, he returned the ring to his now ex-wife. In a fit of rage, she threw it into the sea. The nameless isle had vanished. Although only open water remained, by instinct ships would steer clear. None of the captains could articulate why. Millennia later, adventurers would come in search of the legendary divine city of Arx and the crypt of the great Lucian. None would pass the path of blood. Sir Gareth thanked the surviving Seekers for their service and gave them their freedom. Disillusioned with the rising chaos, he set out alone to find a new purpose. He would never stop seeking. Young Han went into the theatre and became one of the realm's most popular actors. Almira and Mihaly settled in an abandoned homestead. The locals liked and respected Almira. She never wanted for help, and deals always fell to her favor. Outsiders were often suspicious, but no local would speak against her. With no new divine, Malady found herself in a predicament. She had an important problem to solve, but no ally strong enough to call upon, and so her search continued. Having performed the greatest act of necromancy in history, Tarquin found the new world unchallenging. He became obsessed with rumors of another plane of existence. One day he vanished and was never seen again. With the source released to the world, Ahu the wizard spent more and more time as a cat. One day he decided he would not change back. With Amadia silent, the priestess Gratiana left the swamps and re-entered the world. With more undead than ever before, she founded an abbey in the Dragonspine Mountains, offering them shelter from hatred and fear. Jehan, the demon hunter, found himself at a loose end. So he opened a museum of demonic artifacts. After it burned down, with Jehan inside, witnesses claimed that the flames were the color of blood. As the forests grew anew and the elves were equals at last, Sahala shared elven knowledge of source with the world. But some elves disagreed and plotted against her. Chief amongst her opponents was Tova, Sahala's own mother. With a small band of elves, Ifan Ben Mezd replanted the lost elven forests. After the first fresh shoots broke the earth, he disappeared and was never seen again. Some say Afrit, his soul wolf, walks the forests still. Sabine wandered the world. She became a household name, famed the realm over as a traveling hero, celebrated wherever she went. Enjoying life to the fullest, she was truly and finally free. Lohse returned to her music and enjoyed a storied career as Rivellon's premier musician. Dark moods would at times overtake her, and she would spend long hours walking in the wilds. She always returned with a new song. And then there was you. You returned to the world a sorcerer among many. Your future was yours to decide. Did you accept your new status with humility? Only you know the truth. Only you know if you atone for your sins.
And so it ended. A tale that began with my own ill-fated attempt to rid the world of the God-woken. A new divine rose, a true heir to the Seven, more powerful than ever, and united Rivellon in its battle against the void. All across the realm he was loved, worshipped, and adored. Humans, lizards, elves, and dwarves all rallied to his banner. The Great Allegiance stood once more, but the war continued. From the depths of the void, the God King still sought to return. As for me, my last hope of ever being freed of the God King's terrible tyranny faded when the God-woken claimed divinity. An eternity of pain and suffering is mine. I cling now to the dream that one day the veil will be sealed, that one day I can be freed, that one day a new God-woken will rise.
War raged on. Arx remained the center of power as the races united behind the divine. But the Voidwoken attacks continued as they did elsewhere. Arx would see many more long years of war. The ancient empire of lizards became one of the pillars of the new divine alliance. The houses of war and of shadows were particularly useful in the fight against the god king. The empire used the war to expand its territory. With Justinia dead, the Dwarven kingdom descended into chaos. But although they did not join the Divine Alliance, many joined the fight against the Void, and did their people great honor in battle and in death. With Lucian gone, the elves reluctantly rejoined the Divine Alliance. Their place in the war on the Void would entirely depend on the integrity of the new Divine. And on the integrity of the elven Godwoken who did not ascend. And here and there, across the world, what was left of the Black Ring fought on. The island of Fort Joy remained a sorcerer's paradise, a place of exile for those whose sorcery threatened to bring in the Void. For their well-being, its residents depended entirely on the benevolence of the new Divine. Reaper's Coast struggled on. The farms and the fisheries fought to feed the people against the Voidwoken blight. The black pits took fire, the oil there burns still. Driftwood teetered on the edge of starvation until the night the Voidwoken came from the sea. All were killed. This did, however, put an end to the famine. The nameless isle had vanished. Although only open water remained, by instinct ships would steer clear. None of the captains could articulate why. Sir Gareth thanked the surviving Seekers for their service and gave them their freedom. Disillusioned with ongoing war, he set out alone to find a new purpose. He would never stop seeking. Young Han grew up a warrior and became one of the Alliance's greatest generals. But even he could not win the war. Almira and Mihaly settled in an abandoned homestead. The locals liked and respected Almira. She never wanted for help, and deals always fell to her favor. Outsiders were often suspicious, but no local would speak against her. With a new divine at the helm, Malady had a powerful ally, but she was in no hurry to call in her favor. After all, it might be the last thing she ever did. Having performed the greatest act of necromancy in history, Tarquin found the new world unchallenging. He became obsessed with rumors of another plane of existence. One day he vanished and was never seen again. Ahu the wizard served the new divine with honor, wisdom, and an at times unnerving feline elegance. The undead priestess Gratiana remained in her sanctuary, happy to wait for the war to pass. She was troubled only by the silence of her goddess. Jehan the demon hunter never stopped hunting for demons. Sahala sought to strengthen the elven alliance with the new divine. Her powers of sight proved useful in the ongoing war against the Void, but she could never be sure that the new divine trusted her. Tova, her mother, was Sahala's most trusted warrior. With a small band of elves, Ifan ben Medst replanted the lost forests. After the first fresh shoots broke the earth, Ifan returned to the war, leading the elves in service of the divine. Some say Afrit, his soul wolf, walks the forest still. Sabine wandered the world. She became a household name, famed the realm over as a traveling hero, celebrated wherever she went. Enjoying life to the fullest, she was truly and finally free. Losa returned to her music and enjoyed a storied career as the Divine's premier musician. Dark moods would still overtake her, and she would spend long hours walking in the wilds. She always returned with a new song. And then there was you. For how much of this do you take credit or blame? And what kind of divine were you as the world battled on? Did you show mercy or strength? Did you sacrifice others as Lucian had done? Did you regret becoming divine? Should you have given your soul and sealed the veil? Only you know the truth. Only you know if you atone for your sins.
Ну вот и закончился игрофильм по второму Divinity. Так что надо бы подвести итог. Про роман с Ифаном ничего говорить тут не буду. Все выскажу в отдельном видео с его романом. Но вы просто знаете, что я играла в DOS и записывала данный игрофильм 3 года назад. И до сих пор меня жутко бомбит с поведения Ифана в конце. И вообще каждый мой разговор о данной игре заканчивается тем, что я обзываю его муднем. Ну да не важно, это тема для другого ролика. Давайте лучше об игре в целом. Многие называют второй Divinity шедевром, потрясающей игрой и высокой планкой в свое время. Я отчасти соглашусь с этими высказываниями, ибо игра, правда, неплоха. В ней много интересных фишек, вроде возможности, будучи эльфом, видеть чужие воспоминания путем поглощения плоти. В игре куча секретиков, диалогов, разных ситуаций, отличный интересный лор, разнообразные персонажи и реиграбельность. Так что спорить о том, хороша ли игра, я не вижу смысла, ибо она очевидно качественная и продуманная. Но и в ней есть свои определенные минусы, которые лично меня поставили в тупик или просто не понравились. Не понравилось мне то, что очень часто во время диалоговых кат-сцен непись мог обратиться не к моему ГГ, а другому члену отряда. Это странно, и я вообще не поняла, по какому принципу персонажи обращаются в той или иной момент вот к этому вот герою, а не к тому, за которого ты как бы играешь. Но это мелочь. Вот что меня действительно оставило в непонятках, так это одна определенная сюжетная фишка, которую, я надеюсь, те, кто давно следят за работой Ларианов, особенно разработкой Divinity Original Sin 2, смогут мне разъяснить в комментариях. Конечно же, я говорю о внезапных смертях половины отряда в середине игры. А зачем? Нет, я могу предположить, что это сделано в угоду реиграбельности. Мол, вот один раз поиграл за этот отряд, второй раз за другой. Но это несколько странное решение, как по мне. Может, я чего-то не понимаю, но мне не кажется, что большая часть людей, у которых и так мало свободного времени, специально бы прошли большую игру второй раз ради других персонажей. Вот даже я, например, я обожаю Сибиллу, и я точно бы не стала ее убивать. Получается, даже во второе прохождение я бы не смогла посмотреть всех спутников. Так что мне теперь 3 раза проходить? У меня тоже бывают любимые и не очень любимые компаньоны, но я все равно готова брать их в отряд и проходить их личную цепочку квестов, лишь бы у них все было в конце хорошо. Да, я буду таскать их только по их заданиям, да, в основном они будут сидеть в лагере, но это мое решение. А Divinity просто взяла и загнала меня в сюжетные рамки. Зачем? Ответ на этот вопрос мне будет крайне интересно узнать. Более чем уверена, в период релиза игры этим вопросом многие задавались. Поэтому, если кто-то знает причину, пожалуйста, объясните мне в комментариях. Теперь о концовках. Я выбрала ту, в которой ГГ лишает всех истока. Как по мне, она самая логичная, безопасная и улучшающая жизнь людей. Все лишаются истока и начинают жить обычной жизнью, не тревожась, что их вновь настигнут беды. Жизнь постепенно приобретает долгожданную умиротворенность и спокойствие. Причем каждая раса и каждый город оказываются затронуты в лучшую сторону. Это действительно правильная концовка, которая напрашивается сама собой после всего того пережитого ужаса и открытия всех тайн, стоящих за силой истока. Две другие концовки не имеют для меня смысла, ибо в Божественной продолжается война и ничего не меняется. Став божественным, главный герой в мировом масштабе просто сменяет одного правителя на другого, но вообще не исправляет последствий основной беды. Ну а концовка с отдачей истока всем – это вообще лютая ерунда. При первом же упоминании этого варианта я твердо для себя сказала «нет». Это опаснейшая сила, непредсказуемая, и все мы знаем, к чему она приводит. Опасность появления чудовищ возросла бы в разы, да еще и жадные до власти пошли бы войной друг на друга в попытках доказать, кто сильнее. Что нам, собственно, в титрах и показали. Более того, я, может, кого-то и удивлю, но каноничная концовка – это лишение всех истока. Данная информация была подтверждена продюсером следующей в серии Divinity игры Divinity Fallen Heroes. Однако, к сожалению, недавно игра была официально отменена, так что вот данный пункт можно во внимание не брать. Но в DLC Divinity 2 «Кровь дракона» божественным все так же является Люцик. Так что, собственно, подытоживая, скажу, что игра неплоха. Она не сильно меня зацепила. Во втором прохождении мне даже под конец вообще стало скучновато, и я уже целенаправленно бегала чисто по сюжетке. Но зато в ней много контента, классных фишек и последствий от принятых вами когда-то решений. А я это просто обожаю. РПГ игр мало, качественных еще меньше, так что DOS 2 не переоценен, а по праву занимает свое высокое положение в игровой индустрии. Ну, таково мое мнение. Пишите ваши в комментариях. Согласны ли вы со мной? Играли ли в DOS 2? Как вам? Кого романсили? Мне будет интересно почитать. Также жду вас всех в своих соцсетях. Их все веду я, но в них иногда мелькает и мой YouTube-аватар Рири. На Бусте все выходит намного раньше. Там же вы можете поддержать меня денежно. Плюс там выкладывается взрослый контент без цензуры. В телеге проходит голосование за новые видео, что мне почитать, посмотреть или во что поиграть. Выбор за вами. В ВК просто житейские разговорчики, в ТикТоке разные нарезки. Ну и не забывайте про оба моих канала, данный игровой и с обзорами. Ну а на этом я заканчиваю. Спасибо, что были со мной, и до встречи в других видео.